We're going to keep the storm theme going with our political panel. Let's bring them in now. We're joined today by Melanie, Collette. She's a policy analyst for the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow and a former vice chair for the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. Also joining us is Theron Bond. She's a Democratic strategist. I can't wait to get into these topics.
Great to have you both, as usual. So we just saw a clip from the Democrats. They're not happy at all, Melanie, with the president or Elon Musk right now. We heard from Maxine Waters, she's, of course, a congresswoman from California, and clearly her state is still dealing with winter storms. So why is she not dealing with her constituents and instead obstructing and trying to create chaos and calling out Elon Musk?
Well, there are some politicians who actually believe that it is more fun to be in the media and drop hot takes than it is to do your job. And I think that Auntie Maxine is a perfect example of that. It is very sad. I posted an article about that protest and about how unifying the messages from the Party of Joy. It is just really rich to me that they call themselves the unifiers, that they are suggesting that the election of President Trump and the assistance of Elon Musk for free, no cost to the taxpayers, by the way, in making our government more efficient is what is highly problematic. While they cuss, threaten, and act crazy on the news instead of, like you said, Krisha, actually addressing the problems of their constituents, which is what they should be doing. The American people overwhelmingly asked for this. And when they are out there fighting and protesting, they need to understand they're fighting and protesting the American people, and it's wrong.
Yep.
You know, Melanie, you said Auntie Maxine. Well, you know what? She may be black, but she's not related to me. Okay? I refuse to call her auntie. But, Theron, sometimes you make sense, so I'll call you cousin. The thing is that when you look at the Democrats, and I'm not trying to beat up on the Democrats, I'm just actually speaking facts here. The American people have been struggling over the last 4 years with all type of economic policies, making budget cuts in their own households, doing without as they're racking up in debt. So I think they see Elon Musk's work of exposing the wasteful spending. And don't get me wrong, they love, okay, you know what, maybe we should help some starving children and so forth in foreign lands, doing good work, but all these long lists of political agendas that we pay for, the American people they've had enough. And they see Elon Musk's work of exposing and moving toward budget cuts and getting tax relief done eventually after all these budget cuts. That's exactly why they voted for President Trump. So these Democrats that are pushing back, I think it might actually backfire on them. What say you?
I don't think so. I'd like to applaud them because thank you for finally showing up and saying something. People who are Democrats and follow those particular leaders have been asking them to show up strongly and boldly and actually put up a fight against the things that are harming this country. And finally, they are doing so. And let's just hope that it's not too late. When we talk about Elon Musk earning his spot and that being what America voted for, no, the people that voted for Vice President Harris voted for her. The people that voted for now President Trump voted for him. They did not vote for an egotistical man who bought his spot into the White House. And that's exactly what we got with Elon Musk. If you look at the people who have been employed by Elon Musk, the people in communities that have been impacted by Elon Musk's policies or his philandering around and throwing his money every which way, it's not a positive outlook. And even if you look at President Trump's body language from when they were in the Oval Office just yesterday, he did not look pleased that Elon Musk was taking the spotlight from him. So I think that Elon's time is very limited when it comes to President Trump, because if it's one thing we know about Trump, he does not like anybody taking away credit from him, and certainly not the spotlight.
Well, I definitely have to take back the cousin comment. And honestly, Your invitation to the cookout is under further review.
Melanie, curious to get your perspective, because I saw something completely different than Theron. I thought they were sharing the stage beautifully yesterday in the Oval Office with Elon Musk and his son, really just, taking it away with respect to talking about the cuts that are needed for the next generation. And this is exactly why Elon Musk is doing what he's doing. Frankly, he is a billionaire. He doesn't need to be doing any of this, but he's working for the American people and the next generation.
That's exactly right. And you know what is absolutely hilarious to me is this conflicting message from the Democrats that President Trump is a dictator. He's going to be mean to all the people, and he hates everybody, and he's demanding, he bosses everybody around. But also, I let Elon Musk sit next to me, and I'm so put upon and so very sad. And look at him getting all the attention. Like, those things do not live in the same space. It makes no sense at all. Who have you heard of Donald Trump? Have you ever heard of him allowing anybody into his space or allowing anybody to do anything in his orbit that he did not want them to do without there being severe punishment? When he is sitting there, and as a matter of fact, if you look at his face, he's kind of grinning like, this is phenomenal. Like, I don't know. And I tend to agree. I don't know where Theron got that body language read that he was somehow upset that Elon Musk was getting the spotlight when he's the one that shined the spotlight on Elon Musk. I think that's just a weird take to me.
Exactly. And the fact that he's wearing a blue tie, too. The optics, everything looked great. Yes. But one thing I think we can all agree on that's happening is Russia releasing U.S. prisoner Mark Fogel, who met with President Trump as soon as he landed back in the U.S. Fogel calling Trump a hero. Take a listen.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now.
I appreciate Steve Witkoff. The job he did, and Marco behind the scenes was unbelievable. And so many of these people were unbelievable. They represent him. They're from his area. And we just wanted to get him back home.
You know, Theron, the Democrats are screaming, pushing back on Trump, pushing back on Trump's nominees, pushing back on Elon Musk. They're pushing back, but you know what? The American people are glad that Trump is pushing forward with executing the mandate that they gave him. And in fact, he's actually pulling out bonuses, and it hasn't even been a month yet. That's the type of leadership that the American people have been craving in terms of getting this country back on track, on shore, as well as our foreign affairs around the world. And I think, again, it's going to backfire. Why? Because these are wins.
I think this is a classic case of intent versus impact. The intention was to bring someone home, and that's what happened with Mark Fogel. Mark Fogel was brought home, but the impact of that is that President Trump gets to boost his ego and say that he did something. And so when people have negative things to say about his policies or what he's doing to particular groups in this country, then he can go back and say, well, I brought this person home, well, I did this, and I did this, and I, which again speaks to his ego. But when we talk about the policies that are affecting the American people every day at home, that's not the same sentiment that is expressed towards Donald Trump. And let's not forget why Mark Fogel is even a topic of conversation, because they acknowledged that he had been there estimated about 3 years or so, but that his mom, who's in her late 90s, came to a Trump rally begging. But we have to understand that she came to a Trump rally. She came on Trump's turf. And so he admonished that by saying, I will work to bring somebody home because you came to feed my ego. And we also have to look at the other people who may be in other parts of the country who have said they want to be brought home too, and who may not be fans of Trump, and if they get that same consideration.
So Theron, would you rather he not bring Mark Fogel home because that would then not be an ego boost? I don't understand your thesis.
That is
he wouldn't have been on his mind. Mark Fogel, unfortunately, wouldn't have been on Trump's radar.
Well, he certainly wasn't on Joe Biden's mind.
Yeah, and
this was not the same. We didn't give the same regard to when Brittany Griner was brought home. So that's the thing. President Biden,
we gave up more than we should have.
Trump. It's the intent versus
honestly,
the impact.
I have to rebrand this segment bittersweet. One side is bitter and the other side is sweet. meet. Melanie, take it away.
Can I just say something
Sure.
about that whole scenario that she just said? A 95-year-old woman's son is in a prison in Russia being abused and no doubt not being treated well. And she goes to the person who has the momentum to become the next president and asks to please free her son, who is a teacher, by the way. Meanwhile, the Biden administration made sure that they released all kinds of murderers and assassins on behalf of a basketball player who was a star, just to placate and try to get the favor of the Black community. So you got a basketball star that was released. Meanwhile, a working class teacher was languishing away in Russia. And I think it is a perfect illustration of the priorities that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden had during their entire administration. Looking out for the elites while ignoring the working class people. And that kind of attitude is exactly why President Trump is now 47.
Right.
I think we both know
the
if Ryder
narrative.
was still in prison where she was, that President Trump would not be looking to bring her home. We know that, and we can be honest about that.
I think we're dealing in hypotheticals, and I think President Trump would
No,
take.
we're not.
Yes, we are, because you're saying he would bring every American home, which is what he's trying to do. Unlike Joe Biden, who again we hadn't even heard of this one hostage until yesterday. Frankly, many of us. So he was deprioritized. But again, I think, Theron, the problem that the Democrats are having, including you, it seems, with your thesis, as I keep mentioning, is that Trump is fulfilling promises made, promises kept. And Democrats, that's why it's really triggering them, because he's checking off all the boxes that he said he was going to do. He's actually doing them. Any thoughts?
I'm sorry, it cut out for a second.
Oh, okay, no worries.
But I think this is about who it benefits, right? President Trump is steamrolling a lot of policy that is not favorable to the United States of America as a whole. It is only going to benefit a select few. But what about the tens of others of millions of people who have to live in this country currently that have to deal with the impacts of his policies? Right now, he is only being influenced by billionaires, primarily Elon Musk and several others, that are dictating to the policies that the rest of America will have to deal with. And that's not very thoughtful or very unifying. While we're talking about his promises made and promises kept, he also promised to lower the price of eggs. And I'm not letting that go until I walk into a grocery store and see that eggs are $2 to $3 to $4 cheaper, or back to what they were prior to him coming to office, prior to Biden coming to office, if we want to be rich about it. He said he was going to lower the cost of things. He still has yet to do so.
Yes, he has. We're running out of time. I want to give Melanie 30 seconds, but you're making a flawed argument. During the Bidenomics, people were concerned about everything costing more in the economy. You mentioned only one thing, which is eggs, which we know directly is caused by the bird flu. Once the bird flu is gone, egg prices, the supply and so forth, economics behind it will return to normal. But the key is, you're mentioning a flawed premise, but we're going to give the last 30 seconds to Melanie. Hold tight.
Because meanwhile, policy after policy that was inflicted upon the American people by the Biden-Harris administration, such as illegal immigration, the Green New Deal, or the Green New Scam, as 47 calls it, the Inflation Reduction Act, which did the absolute opposite and caused like 9% inflation in a short amount of time. Nobody was like, oh my God, what about the rest of the people who are negatively affected by that? That was not the energy that the Democrat Party had. The Democrat Party was like, if you don't agree with this, then you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're just not really feeling the savings. No,
you're not feeling the joy
and ignoring us. Please.
Exactly. We got to leave it there, but this is a great discussion that will continue.
Thank you both for joining us, Melanie, Collette, Theron Bond. Appreciate it.